Hi, welcome back to the Gapster channel. My name is Gabby, and today we're going to talk about setting up a Roon core on an Intel NUC using the ROCK software by Roon. It's going to be a fairly fast-going, quick video. We're going to show you all the detail, how it's done. All the parts you need are in the descriptions below. So let's do it. All right, so what we need. Of course, the Intel NUC. This is an i7. It's an 11PA-HI7. And we also need some memory. This is by Crucial. About 8 gigabytes should do very well. We also need an M.2 drive. I chose an Evo. This is 250 gigabytes. You do not need a bigger hard drive. This is because you can only store the iOS ROCK system on this drive. So having a bigger drive will not help you in any way because you cannot put music on this drive. To put music, you need an additional SSD drive, and we have a 1 terabyte Intel drive to store music. If you have a huge collection, you of course might want to get a 2 terabyte or even bigger. But 1 terabyte should do well for a medium-sized library. All the parts are in the description below. It's important to get especially the same NUC because Roon ROCK is very particular about which hardware it's compatible with. It may be compatible with other hardware, but you might end up with some grief and certain drivers not installing properly. So for the sake of the peace of mind, get the same components and it should all roll nicely. All right, so let's open this box. We can see the Intel NUC here. In the bottom of the box, you should be able to find some nuts and bolts, and mainly the power supply. All right, so what you want to do is flip the NUC upside down. Keep the protective layer because it's going to drag a little bit here and there till the end. You will see about 4 screws, 1, 2, 3, and 4. So what you want to do is quickly unscrew those. Right, once they're loose, you pull the cover, and just be careful, there is a little wire, so don't pull too hard on it. So we're going to grab the memory card, I'm going to pull it out, and you'll notice there's a slot in the middle and there's some chips on one side. You're going to flip it upside down. You're going to align the notch with the notch and push it down, and that should click into place. So that's the memory installed. Next we're going to install the Evo M.2 drive. Doesn't have to be an Evo one, but I like this particular Samsung brand. It's been reliable for me. And that's just what it looks like. And there's a little bit of a area to put a screw here, and on the other side you can see the pins. With this one, what you want to do is you'll notice the notch again, and you'll see right here there is where it should go, and you could see the knot, and there's a screw right here. What you want to do first is take that screw out, and we're gonna pull that screw out completely. Make sure you don't lose it. We're gonna put it aside here, and back to the SSD M.2 drive, and line up the notch here. Again, same idea, slight angle, push it all the way in and bring it down. And then we're gonna bring that screw again and put it back where it was. And that's gonna lock the M.2 drive into place. And that's pretty much it for the hardware part. We've got the memory in, and that's pretty much in, but there's one more thing, actually, not quite it. We still have to put in our SSD drive. With the Roon core system and the ROCK software, basically the music does not go on the main M.2 drive. Only the ROCK software iOS goes there, and your music will be going on an SSD drive that's separately. You could also, if you don't want to have this particular option, you could have an external USB drive, and that's fine as well. For me, I just wanted everything in one box and don't want to have too many dongles hanging around. So what we're going to do is install one of these in here. So you'll notice on the cover there's an area where you could slide the SSD drive, but before you do that, there are four little areas here that prevent it from going in all the way. So you can pull those little tabs out. 2, 3, and 4. Tell you why. You can actually keep them. You can push it in hard. Sometimes I find it doesn't go easily. I prefer to do it that way. And you're going to slide in your drive with the literature up. So you slide it in, and it should go into this connection here, and then make sure it clicks properly. Once it's in properly, you can put those back. You can also put screws in here instead, and probably that's what we're going to do. So for the screws, you're going to grab the bag of screws that came with it, open it up, and you will find in there, I'm just going to dump it all in here, there are 4 smaller screws in there. So we're going to use those to basically lock the hard drive into place. And now I can put the cover back on. Remember, there's a front arrow here, and this should go to where the blue USB port is. So in case you misoriented, line up the arrow to go on that side, and everything should line up beautifully. So that goes in properly, and now we can lock it back on again. Close the 4 screws. So we're doing this in real time. We're not skipping anything. So you guys get to see and learn with me as I do it. I've never done this before. I've built computers, but I've never put a NUC and ROCK together. So this is going to be interesting for all of us. So here it is. So it's all the hardware is already installed. So what we're going to do now is power this thing in and get the software installed. Just Google search Roon ROCK installation, and you should be able to get to this page. And they talk in detail about all the necessary steps to do the installation. What we're going to do is updating the BIOS. We're going to scroll down to update the BIOS, and there's a link here to the Intel website, and from there you're going to search for your device, and we're going to click that. And scroll down till you see BIOS update. So this is it, BIOS update. Just make sure it's for the right one that you have. It's for the NUC 11PAH series, so it's all here. We're gonna click on that and get the cap file here. So we're gonna click on that. I accept, and you're gonna get the download. Next, you're going to copy the cap file onto your USB little thumb drive. Paste it in here. And there we go. And we're going to remove the thumb drive. To get your NUC going, you're going to need an HDMI for your monitor. We're going to plug that in. That goes in the back here. So that's the HDMI. You'll need a keyboard and a mouse, and that's the USB activation for it. So we're going to plug that in as well. And that's in. All right, pushing the power button, and here we go. We got the Intel NUC starting to flash. Next thing you're going to do, you're going to install your little USB drive. And once you power it on, you're going to keep pressing F2. There we go, we got the BIOS. The thing you want to do is, first thing is you want to go to the boot section. From the boot section, you're going to go and put boot priority, and you want to put boot from USB device first. You're going to click that. So press F10, and that should save and exit, and you say OK. And it's just going to reboot now. So now we're going to press F7 repeatedly. So you're gonna get this screen here. So you're gonna click on the USB drive and you should see the file with the cap extension. I'm gonna click on that. Process BIOS update. Are you sure you want to update? Of course we are sure. We're gonna click yes and do some prayers. And try not to disturb anything, unplug anything. So it should reboot basically. There we go, 48%, starting to scroll through. Remember, we're doing this all live, so we're learning together. So the process took about 3 minutes. I did a few passes actually. So the first 100% was not the overall thing, so it's still doing its thing. So it took about 5 minutes and it rebooted. So while it's rebooting, I pulled the USB card so it doesn't have to go into that again. And now it should basically reboot normally. All right, once we reboot again, we're gonna go back into the menu of the BIOS and we're gonna select F9 for optimal defaults and we're gonna say load optimal defaults. Then we're gonna go into the boot section and under secure boot and under secure boot you're gonna change that to disabled and UEFI boot should be enabled. Save your settings and press OK. You can turn your NUC off for now. Next, you're going to carry on with the Roon website, and it shows you there's a link where you can download the image for this ROCK software. So you click on that, and it's going to download it. Next, you're going to download a software, if you don't have it already on your computer, called Balena Etcher. And after you download it, it will open. This will allow you to make an image on your USB drives. You say flash from file, select that, and it says which target. It's going to our Kingston USB drive, and you're going to say select and flash. And you say yes. That shouldn't take too long. Balena Etcher is a free program you can download off the web, and there is a link for it on the Roon website as well. Almost done. So you're doing this on a regular computer, like your Windows computer. This is not done on the NUC. So we're going to get that file prepared, and once it's done, you're going to take that flash drive and insert it into your NUC and boot the NUC from there. Next, you're going to take that USB drive, we're going to plug it into the NUC, as we said, and we are going to boot the NUC. When it comes up, you're going to press F10, and you're going to select to boot from the USB drive, basically the Kingston in my case. It will ask you here if you want to install Roon on which drive, so make sure you select the proper drive, you press 1 and so forth, and just follow the menu, and that should get your Roon installation. And here we go, we got Roon installed. Now it says press enter to restart, so we're going to do that. If you have any issues booting up, just make sure you go into the BIOS setup again under the boot section and under the boot priority. So the first one should be the Samsung SSD drive, the Evo 970 Evo. So that should be because this is where the ROCK is stored. Nothing else should be enabled, and that's all pretty much you need here. And you can save and exit. That's F10 to save and exit. And say OK. If you need to boot from the USB drive for some reason, you can always press the F10 as it's booting and tell it to boot from there, but you don't have to do that. It says searching for network address. Yeah, here we go. That's one issue why she can't find the address, because we don't have a network cable plugged in. So let's get the network cable plugged into there. There we go, success. So it says Roon can be accessed directly from this site 10.0.0.170. So now I can access Roon. So Roon is actually running. Open your browser, and in your browser you're going to type that same address that they told you. So 10.0.0.170 in my case. I'm going to press enter, and as you can see, Roon is running. And you're going to notice a couple things. First, you are missing codecs, and also your internal music storage is not ready. Remember, we put that 1 terabyte SSD drive, but it needs to be formatted. So let's format that. We're going to say yes. Remember, if you have music on that drive, you cannot install it into your NUC. It will get formatted, you lose all your music. If you want to do it that way, you have to put an external drive. Any drive you put in the NUC will get formatted. So you have to make sure you back up your music, and after you format the drive, then you can copy it back onto your drive. Next, we're going to get the codecs. You're going to go again on the Roon website, and under the missing codec part, you can follow the link where it says, for example, grab this file. So you click on that, and automatically you're going to get the file downloaded to your computer. Then we're going to go into our download section, and we are going to, you need to uncompress the file. So you're going to need something like WinRAR. You can download it for free. And you wanting to click on this file and right click on it. You're going to say extract to a specified folder. You're going to decide where that folder is going to be. We're going to put in our downloads, and we're going to say create a new folder in there. And we're going to call it FmpEg static, say OK, and it's just going to get downloaded. And from there, we're going to go into the file, and you're going to need the file that ends with the extension FmpEg. This is the file that you actually need. So we're going to be copying the file to the clipboard. And we're going to go on to, if you're having a hard time unzipping the file, Roon suggests another program also called 7-zip. If you don't want to download WinRAR, you can try that. And it's an open source program. Basically, once you unzip the file, you're going to need to get the FmpEg file out of it. And you copy that, and you're going to need to go into your File Explorer. It's very important. This is File Explorer. This is not Google. This is not your browser. So it's File Explorer. And in the address, you're going to put \rock / and press enter. And that should take you to the exposed folder into your Roon. It's got the data, so you're going to double click on that. And under codecs, you're going to double click on that, and you're going to paste that file. And that should be good. Now we're going to go back into our browser. There we go. And now you could see that the Roon Server software is okay. There is no more codec to be done. Internal music is good. And that's all good. So you're all set. Your Roon is running. So now what you need to do is back up your database of music from another, or if you're running a previous Roon core, and then basically you're going to restore it onto your new Intel NUC Roon core. So here you have it. So you can easily set up a Roon core yourself without having prior computer knowledge. So don't be afraid. It's really not that hard to do. Just follow the instructions between the Roon website. In this video tutorial, you get to see a bit of both visual and written instructions, and it should get you there. For those who are trying to copy a previous database of music to the new location, stick around. I'm just gonna carry on and do a little bit more instructions on how to move your previous database to the new core and keep your files going the same way. So basically, why do you want to have your why having an Intel NUC? Why having an old laptop computer, which what I had before? I had an old laptop computer running on Windows, and the problem with it is that Windows keeps doing updates. You can't stop those. And it has so many things running in the background, so the computer is constantly blazing and the fan is going crazy, and it's just kind of annoying. I found it. Even though I stripped the Windows down to the bare bones, it's still every time things change after a while with some updates, and things keep running in the background. And then my computer is getting old, the fan is getting tired, and I figured this is a lot easier, so it's just a small, simple way. Also, by not having all this computing power running in the background, it might trickle into slightly better sound, possibly by keeping the information as clear as possible. That's another debatable issue, though. The other thing that you might want to consider is running switching the power supply into a linear one. That's not sure if that will really change much, because the core is not actually playing the music unless you're using it for a USB to your DAC, which I'm not. If you're not doing that, most likely that's not gonna change anything. But if you are using it as a USB connection to your DAC, then for sure you should put a linear power supply on it. I would put one either way if you can. They're pretty cheap. You can get a cheap one and off eBay. I'll put a link of one that I use off Amazon, and yeah, something like that will probably work. I'll put links of all the parts I've used. So because Roon ROCK is very sensitive to certain parts, and especially the NUC has to be a certain particular model, otherwise you could run into problems. You could also ask yourself, what can I buy, like an old NUC? Yes, you can. There's a list on the website that you can use. Often, like Roon doesn't use that much of a huge computing power, so you can get by with a smaller NUC. Even an i3 will probably work. But for me, I just figure I'll just set up a decent one for an extra $300. I could buy a new one. So I think for us audiophiles, when you're spending piles of money on cables and things, we don't want to cheap out on something like that. Well, stick around. I'm going to do the next little bit here about moving your database to the new core system. If you've had a backup if you're migrating from another Roon core, it's best to do a backup on your old Roon core, and maybe put your backup on a USB drive. So it's probably the easiest. Then you're going to log in from any Windows. Just log in onto your Roon core. It's going to ask you do you really want to change Roon core? You say yes, and you have to disable your previous license so you can connect to the new one. Once you connect to the new one, you get to this screen and it says add music. Just ignore everything, just press continue, no thanks, and finish, and just put in your credentials here, your email and password. Alright, so what you want to do next is you want to restore from the backup. So you're going to go into settings, and you're going to go into backups. So scroll down here, you get backups, and then you're going to do find backups. You're going to do browse, and so what you want to do here, you're going to add a network share. And what we're going to do, we're going to find what's the address of our Roon core USB. Remember, we put that USB stick in the NUC. So we're going to go into our basically into our rock. If you can't get it from your network file, just do the //rock / and you should get in, and you get to see the data file. And under storage, you'll see that. Then you should see the new volume. This is my USB card here. Gonna click on it, and then we're gonna double click on it. Then right click and say copy address. Sorry, we're gonna right click here, and we're gonna say copy address. Then we're gonna go back to Roon, and remember we said add network share. We're gonna click we're going to paste that information here. I won't let you paste it, but you can press Shift Insert, and that should put it in. And let's see, add network shares. So here we go, we got rock. So you can go back here, see storage. You're going to do this new volume thing, and we're going to say select this folder, and then you can see now it found we were able to find the backup. So now you click restore, confirm restore, say yes. So it's a little bit tricky, but like if you follow my instructions, it should be straightforward. And we're logging in again. And here we go, we're back to where we were before. All your stuff is back to where it is, and you're good to go. One last thing you need to do is go into settings and scroll up and go into storage. And you're going to find that the old, because you backed up from your previous Roon core system, it used to go, was pointing at different passes for your music. So these are no longer relevant. So what you want to do, you want to delete those folders. So we're going to say remove and remove. You have one left. This is where your actual music should be stored right now. But because we just created a new Roon core, there is nothing in it. So we're going to copy our music to this to this location, and that's how you're going to be able to move your previous collection of music to the new place. All right, so now I'm going to copy the files from I put them on a USB drive. I don't have a huge collection that like most of you, but I'm planning to rip all my CDs eventually. So yeah, so let's do this. So /rock /enter. So data, and then storage, and this is my USB. So we're gonna go copy all my music from here. I'm gonna highlight them all, Shift, and we're gonna say right click, say copy. Then we're gonna go up to Roon. We're going to go back to internal storage, and we're going to paste them here. And that should take a little bit, some DSD files there, so a little bit large files, so it'll take a little bit of time to copy. But once they're in there, then Roon's going to figure out and how to, then it'll have the proper path to them and so forth, and you'll be all set. If you like this channel, please support me by subscribing if you haven't done so, if you're interested, and liking the videos. That's also keep the videos. If you're interested in other videos, I'll put a link above here on my streamer that I built a while back. Also, things are coming in the pipeline. We'll be building a simplified streamer. And when I say simplified, that doesn't mean less, not as good. It's going to be a very, very highly advanced streamer, but in a simplified way that any of you could put it together and get going. That's coming up fairly soon. I'm hoping to have those videos starting in the next few weeks. All right. Take care, and we'll see you again.